Hey there, it's Liz from No Trace, and today I'm going to show you how to fix your beeswax wraps if they're not working anymore. Two things can happen to your wax wrap that can cause it to not be sticky anymore. So one is that it got damaged somehow from, usually from too much heat. So maybe it got left in the sun or accidentally washed with hot water, or maybe someone put it in the microwave. So that heat can damage your wrap and make it not work anymore. The second thing that can happen to your wrap is that it's just gotten old. So over time, as you use your wraps and wash your wraps, they can get less sticky and less watertight. So today I'm going to show you how to fix those two main problems that happen with wax wraps. So let's talk about the first problem first. If your wrap got left out in the sun or accidentally washed with hot water, it's really easy to fix. All you have to do is apply heat evenly across your wax wrap. So the way you apply that heat, you have a lot of options. So you can use an iron. Any household iron will do, and some baking papers or parchment paper. I use a compostable parchment paper by, I think it's Reynolds Wrap. So with the iron and the parchment paper, you're basically going to put your wrap in between two pieces of parchment paper like a sandwich, and that's to protect your iron and your ironing surface from any wax. So put your wrap in between the paper and then just iron it, and that applying the heat that way will help redistribute the blend and smooth out damage that might have happened from heat or sun. So that's one way to fix the first problem. If you don't want to do it with an iron, the other option is to pop it in your oven at a very low temperature, about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll want to put it on a baking sheet, and obviously you'll probably want to protect that baking sheet unless you plan to use it for more wax wraps or other kinds of crafting projects and you don't care if it gets wax on it. But basically you'll lay your wax wrap on top of your baking sheet, pop it in the oven for just a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes at most, and when it comes out, the blend will have evened out. If you want to apply a little pressure, you can use a popsicle stick to move some of the blend around and sort of smooth out any spots, or you could use a clean paintbrush to smooth out any spots on your wax wrap. So those are the main ways to fix a wrap if it's just gotten a little bit messed up from heat. Now, if you have a wax wrap that's not working anymore because it's gotten worn out, so I brought one here. This is one of the very first wraps that I made here at No Trace. And you can see that there is a light spot that's formed where the wax blend has worn off over time and with use. So when that happens, what you'll want to do is apply more wax blend to your wrap in order to fix it. You can make your own wax blend, or you can buy pre-made beeswax blend bars. So I have some in my shop, but there's a lot available online for sale. If you want to make your own wax blend, it's really not that hard. You just need 3 to 4 key ingredients. So obviously beeswax. You'll also want pine sap. That's what makes your wraps sticky. And then you'll also want a natural oil like a coconut oil and maybe a little jojoba oil. And the oil helps your wax blend, helps your beeswax wrap to be soft and malleable. So I use a good amount of beeswax and pine sap in my blend bars, and then just a little bit of oil to add to the mix. So depending on how many wraps you want to make, that's how, that'll determine the quantities of the beeswax and the oil and the pine sap. So you might want to Google around and find some good recipes online that tell you, for if you're just making, for example, you're just fixing one wax wrap, how much blend you might need. For me, I can cover a totally unwaxed piece of fabric with about a ½ ounce of a blend bar. So it does not take a whole lot to cover, and it takes even less to fix a wax wrap. So that's the first part, is get your blend bar or make your blend. Once you have a blend, then in order to fix an old wax wrap, all you need to do is apply the blend onto the wrap and heat the wrap again like you did, like I described in the first part of this video. So what I do is I have a little pot and I'll melt the blend in the pot and then apply it with a paintbrush, but you could also use an old popsicle stick. Just dip it and sort of spread it around with the long edge of the stick. Once you have the blend on your wrap, then you need to heat it so that it gets nicely distributed and spread all around. And you can heat it with the iron, like I described. So you sandwich your wrap in between two pieces of parchment paper. Or you can heat it in your oven on a very low temperature, like 200 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, and put it on a baking sheet. And like I mentioned, you'll probably want to protect your baking sheet unless it's like one that you use for waxy projects. So, and then just pop it in the oven at a low temperature and let it sit in there for 3 to 5 minutes, pull it out, and you can kind of spread the blend around. So after you pull your baking sheet out of the oven and spread the blend around, you'll probably want to put it back in the oven again for a few more minutes. Let the blend melt all the way through again. Then pull it out of the oven and remove it from the baking sheet very quickly so that it doesn't cool on your baking sheet. That's another tip for if you use the ironing method too, is that you'll want to remove your wrap quickly from your baking sheet so that it doesn't cool onto the baking sheet as you're making it. And then when you'll also want to probably hold it to dry for a little bit because it will probably be sticky for a little while if you used enough pine sap. So you'll want to let it dry for just a couple minutes. You could clip it onto like a handle in your kitchen or a little piece of string and just let it dry for a couple minutes so it doesn't stick to itself or stick to anything in your kitchen or wherever you're fixing your wrap. So those are the two main problems that happen to beeswax wraps and the easiest ways to fix them. Like I mentioned, I have blend bars for sale in my shop if you need one. I also have a full online class on how to make your own beeswax wraps that goes into a lot more detail with detailed videos of all the different steps and techniques and troubleshooting tips. So if you really want to dive into the world of making wax wraps, you should check out my course, and I will link to that below. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful for you in fixing your wax wrap, and I'd love to hear in the comments below if you have any other questions about your beeswax wraps. So leave me a comment and I will reply to them. Thanks so much for watching, and for more tips, you can check out my YouTube channel or head over to my website, notraceshop.com/blog. It's full of low waste, zero waste living tutorials and ideas and inspiration. So thanks again.